My name is Hannah, and this is my no-buy year. I thought it might be interesting to film a video exploring the reasons why I'm not subscribed to any beauty subscription services. So Ipsy, Boxycharm, FabFitFun, those types of things. Obligatory disclaimer, if you do subscribe to a beauty box, I'm not judging you. There could be people out there for whom it is a perfect fit and makes total sense, and you could be one of those people. Everyone gets to decide for herself or himself. In my case, I just want to make sure that I'm actually the one doing the deciding and that I'm not accidentally letting the industry decide for me. So today I'm going to unpack some of the thought processes that helped me decide against subscribing to beauty boxes. The first and most obvious reason that I'm not subscribed to any beauty boxes right now is that it is my no-buy year. I'm on a complete no-buy this year. I'm only allowed to buy replacements for crucial items when I run completely out of that category. I wouldn't consider my no-buy to be complete if I was subscribed to Boxycharm or Ipsy during this year. That is according to the rules of my no-buy. Everyone gets to make his or her own rules for his or her own no-buy, and you may very well start a no-buy during which you're allowed to stay subscribed to Boxycharm if that's your thing. But personally, I can't imagine that I would have experienced quite the same level of rehabilitation and growth that I have experienced over the past 7 months of my no-buy if I had been subscribed to a beauty box for that time. The second reason that I'm not subscribed to any of these things is that I don't want minis and samples in my life anymore. And I know that Boxycharm mostly sends full-size products, but most of the others that I've seen send mini products and sample products. I haven't historically considered myself to be someone who dislikes minis. In fact, in the past, I've been really excited and grateful to have minis of certain types of products. Things that take a long time to pan, like lipsticks, highlighters, blushes. It's nice to have a mini because I feel like I'm going to get just as much good use out of that product as I would out of a full size. Plus, those minis take up less space in my collection, they usually cost less, etc. However, as my no-buy year goes on, I'm getting to know my collection better and better. I'm shopping my stash, I'm spending a lot of time with the makeup that I already have because I'm spending no time shopping for new makeup or lusting after new things. And what I've come to realize is that I value my full-size products more than I value my minis. I do have mini products that I've acquired here and there that I'm grateful to have. For example, I have this mini of the Tom Ford lipstick in Indian Rose. It's a really pretty color and it's a luxury product, so I'm lucky that I got it. I got it as a point perk or something, and I feel kind of glad that I have it because it's exciting to have a pretty Tom Ford lipstick, but I don't feel like this is a luxury product. Even though I just said that it's a luxury product, I don't feel that way about this. I feel like this is a dinky little plastic sample. It doesn't even come close to generating the feeling of specialness and joy that I get when I reach for my full-size Tom Ford lipstick, my one full-size Tom Ford lipstick. And it has nothing at all to do with the fact that they're wildly different colors. My full-size Tom Ford lipstick is in the color Wild Ginger. The point I'm trying to make with this is that as I angle towards a more edited, a more curated collection, my minis, no matter how nice a product they are minis of, are starting to feel kind of dinky and extra and trashy in my collection. I have plenty of minis that I'm not decluttering. I have plenty of minis that I enjoy using and that I'm glad that I have. But at this point in my no-buy year, I'm not very interested in acquiring any more minis. They are emblematic to me of the desire to have as big, as broad a collection of makeup as possible. And that's just not me anymore. And my issue with samples, I feel like I barely even have to explain. I simply do not want any more messy little blister packs and crinkly foil packets of products that I never asked to try floating around among all of my lovely things and clogging up my life. I fully believe in sampling things that you're interested in before buying them. In the past, I've been known to go back to Sephora over and over and over again to get the same sample of the same foundation so that I can test it out for weeks and make sure that it's really worth the investment. I fully believe in deploying samples in that way. But I have had it with unasked for samples, and I definitely don't want to pay for them. The third reason I'm not subscribed to any subscription boxes is that I genuinely don't want very much more stuff. I just don't want more stuff. I'm not going to go so far as to say I don't want any new stuff. I don't foresee that after the end of my no-buy year, I won't buy any new stuff ever again. I think that here and there I may make some well-chosen purchases. But I don't want a lot more stuff. I don't want 5 new things a month. That's 60 things a year. That's 60 things a year. Imagine someone coming over and handing you a box full of 60 things, and then you have to find a way to put them all away in your storage, in your vanity, in your closet. You have to find a place for all 60 of those things. That's a nightmare to me right now. That sounds horrible. I'm trying to edit my collection down to the point where there's a place for everything and everything in its place. I'm shopping my stash constantly so I can get to know my collection better so that I can keep it all in my head, my makeup mind palace. The last thing I want is 60 new things. My no-buy year isn't just about saving money. It's also about bringing the previously exponential growth of my makeup collection to a halt. Now that it's halted, I can clearly see what I have. I can clearly see that I have more than enough, and I genuinely, truly don't want more. The fourth reason I'm not subscribed to any Ipsy boxy button businesses is possibly the strongest reason, and that is this. I don't want stuff that I didn't choose. I want a curated collection. This harkens back a little bit to the Marie Kondo method of does it spark joy? When you have a bunch of stuff and you're trying to get rid of the stuff you don't really love, you go through and you hold each item and you try to feel whether or not you truly love it, feel whether or not it truly sparks joy. That's the Kondo method. That's the process I've been going through. Well, I did my clothes. Next up is books, and I haven't been brave enough to start yet, but I'll get there. I will get there. This background is just temporary. It will become a little bit more put together shortly. Anyway, that's the process I've been going through, feeling bogged down by too many things that I don't actually love, that don't spark joy, and going through item by item and trying to figure out which ones don't spark joy so that I can get them out of my life, out of my collection, and be left only with the things that truly do spark joy. So if I'm going to go so far as to buy a new thing and bring it into my life, to add another thing to my lovely, carefully curated collection, I had better be darn sure that that thing sparks joy. I don't want to add things to my collection that don't actually spark joy. Nothing that's just okay, kind of cool, a little bit on trend, maybe I'll learn to like it. All of those categories do not belong in my life anymore. I just don't have time. I don't have enough space on my face for things that I don't love. And in order to make sure that I'm only bringing things in my collection that spark joy, I have to choose them. I have to be the one to choose them. I'm not going to let somebody else choose them for me. When some random person or random company is choosing 5 things and they're showing up in my life every month, month after month, the chances that any one of those things is going to truly spark joy, that it's going to meet my standards, is so low. And maybe I'm just picky. Maybe I don't love makeup enough. Maybe I just don't love makeup as much as all those beauty box subscribers, but that's not true. I do love makeup. I love makeup. And I have products in my collection that I cherish and that give me the utmost joy when I even look at them, let alone use them. So it can't be that. It's just that I want to love everything that I own. I only want to own what I love. And that value that I've now absorbed into my life, that part of my value system, is incompatible with the idea of receiving a box full of random things in the mail every month. Just last week I was hanging out at a friend's apartment. I was helping her do some interior decorating, and right before I left she brought out a big box of semi-discarded makeup. It was basically stuff that she was not using very often or never using. And she was like, "Hey, you're allowed to accept gifts during your no-buy year, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Do you want to go through this and see if there's anything that you think you might want to use, because I'm not using most of this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I really, really do." So we sat on the floor and we started going through the box, and there must have been like 100 pieces of makeup in there. Some point perks and sample sizes and minis, and some full-size products. It was just a motley assortment of things that she had gathered over the past year or two and wasn't really getting a lot of use out of. Now, I haven't had any new makeup in a long time, and I was like, Christmas come early. I was so excited to have some new things to play with and maybe to show on my channel, and I will be talking about some of those things as they become relevant. But here's what happened. I only ended up picking out maybe 5 things. I've already put them away in my collection. I'm not sure what the exact count was, but it was a tiny, tiny fraction of what she would have given me. I only picked the things that I thought I would love, the things that really sparked joy. There were any number of things in that box that might have been okay, that I could have tried out. There were blushes that weren't really the color that I like. There was a MAC blush, there was a NARS blush. Neither of them were the color that I go for, but it was a MAC blush and a NARS blush, and the old me would probably have taken those because I would have just been like, yeah, more blush. But after 7 months of a no-buy, I was like, you know, I have so much blush already, and these are just not the colors that I go for. I just did that big declutter, and saying no to those blushes felt that same way. It felt like I was decluttering them before they had even entered my collection. I think what's happening is that as the no-buy year goes on and I get to know myself more and more, and I get to know my taste more and more, I've become more discerning. I was offered a bunch of free stuff, and a lot of it was really nice, and I said no to almost all of it. I pretty much only picked the things that I would have bought if I had had the chance to buy them. So the idea of being forced to accept a bunch of new things every month that I didn't choose, and then having the responsibility of having to dispose of them appropriately if I don't love them, is just so unappealing. The 5th reason that I'm not subscribed to any Ipsy Fun, Boxy Fit subscriptions is that I think it fuels the addiction to new stuff for the sake of new stuff. I imagine that it fuels the addiction to the feeling of getting a box in the mail. I love getting a box in the mail. I have always been that way. I have always loved getting mail and loved getting packages all the way back to when I was a little child. I think a lot of us are like this. I mean, who doesn't love getting a box in the mail? Who doesn't love getting packages? Everyone loves getting packages, but I think that those of us who are prone to the addiction to shopping for makeup particularly love getting a box in the mail. I think that getting the box replicates the hit of endorphins and dopamine that we get when we actually place the order. So when we place the order, we get rewarded by the chemicals in the brain, and then when we see the actual box and we get to open the box, we get rewarded again by the same chemicals. So in many ways, I think I was chemically addicted to getting that box in the mail. And that is something I am unequivocally trying to break myself of. I'm on a year-long crusade to break that dependence and learn to be happy with my life as it is, instead of needing treats and surprises all the time to lift my mood. Constantly looking forward to my monthly box or boxes, getting excited when I see that the box has come in the mail, opening the box and discovering what's inside, doing that on a monthly or bi-monthly or tri-monthly basis, it would only perpetuate this problem. I would not be able to stop and start healing if that were still going on all the time. And I've got to say, I think that that cycle of expecting and then receiving, expecting and then receiving has absolutely nothing to do with the actual products in the box. It's just the process of waiting and then getting a box in the mail. It perpetuates itself. It is addictive. It is a problem. And I can imagine that if I was caught in that cycle, it would be really hard to break. I don't like that idea at all. All right, we're on to reason number 6, which is the last reason. But have you noticed that I haven't yet talked about money during this video? The question of money. The question of whether it is worth the money. All of my previous reasons for not wanting these subscription boxes have to do with not wanting the boxes themselves to arrive at my door. I have left the question of whether I would or wouldn't want to spend the money on this type of thing until the end. In some ways, it's the least important one to me. It's the least relevant. In fact, at this point, I might pay $20 to keep Boxycharm from sending me a box every month if they were threatening to do that. But I also think that the cost of the boxes and really the value of these boxes is something that is super important to address because it is the thing that gets us every time. The value is so amazing. And whenever anyone unboxes a box on YouTube, they always hold up the first thing that came out of the box and they say, "This has already covered the cost of this month's box. This is so worth it." So let's talk about this. Let's reframe it. Boxycharm costs $21 a month, I believe. That's about $250 a year. It's a little bit more than $250 a year. So imagine taking your debit card and going to an ATM machine and withdrawing $250 in cash. Then you take that $250 and you go to Sephora and you buy whatever you want for $250. You spend the whole amount. What would I do with my $250? I could buy a Natasha Denona palette. I could buy the Natasha Denona Star palette. I've always wanted that. Or I could buy 5 Tom Ford lipsticks. That would be amazing. I could buy an expensive perfume. I could probably buy like 3 really nice, expensive perfumes. So you get the idea. Precious things. Precious, expensive things that you wouldn't ordinarily allow yourself to buy. Those gorgeous big ticket items, those things you love, love, love. Or alternately, in your fantasy, you could imagine filling your cart with $250 worth of your skincare staples, your really nice skincare, enough to get you through a year or a year and a half, whatever you would buy. So imagine what you would buy on this magical shopping trip. In fact, let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to know what you would buy on a magical shopping trip with $250. So whatever it is, you take it to checkout, you pay with your $250 cash that you just got out of the ATM. So you walk out of Sephora with your shopping bag in hand with your precious product in it. I think I've got like the Natasha Denona Star palette, 1 Tom Ford lipstick, and a bunch of sheet masks in my fantasy shopping bag. So you're there outside of Sephora with your shopping bag in hand. And imagine that someone comes up to you and they also have a bag, a much bigger bag than yours, not a Sephora bag, just a big old shopping bag. And this person tells you that in their bag, there's $900 worth of random beauty products. You have no idea what they are. There's no way of knowing if you'll like the colors or if they'll match you. Some of them might be minis and sample sizes. It's just totally random stuff. But it's $900 worth of totally random stuff, or so this person says. And this person offers to trade you their $900 grab bag for your $250 Sephora bag of stuff that you picked. So from watching subscription box unboxings on YouTube, I have a sense that maybe about 50% of the things work out pretty well for the person who gets them. That's kind of being generous because having a product work out pretty well is not the same as deeply loving it. But let's be generous and say that 50% of the things in the grab bag would kind of work out for you, would be okay. The other 50% would really not work out for some reason. Not a good shade match, not a formula that you like, etc. So now you've got your Sephora bag in hand and you're looking at this person with a big bag that is actually more like a $450 value to you. Because if half of the stuff doesn't work, then all of that is worth nothing. So really, the value is about $450, not the $900 that the person originally promised. If we apply our Boxycharm math from earlier, there are about 60 products in the bag. So that means you're going to receive 30 products that might work okay for you and 30 products that won't work at all for you. And if you make the trade and you take the grab bag, you have to take all 60 products. So that means you'll have 30 new products for yourself, and then you'll have to deal with 30 products that you don't want. Would you take that stuff? Would you hand over $250 of exquisitely chosen, perfect products that you just bought from Sephora in exchange for that grab bag of 30 things that might work for you and 30 things that definitely won't? Maybe you would. Maybe you would. And if you would, I genuinely don't judge you for that. To each her own. We all know ourselves, and some of us value quantity over quality in this way. If that is what you value, get your life. That is totally fine. But me, I would not. I would not hand over my Natasha Denona Star palette and my Tom Ford lipstick and my sheet masks in exchange for 60 things that I did not choose, half of which I'm pretty sure will be trash to me. There might be a lot of cool stuff in that bag, but there's so much of it. It's like a whole other makeup collection, but it's one that I didn't choose. If I took it home, it would be like adding another makeup collection in on top of my makeup collection. It would be like adding someone else's makeup collection in on top of my own. And that is truly, truly the last thing that I want. That is it. Those are all of the reasons I have not subscribed to FabFitBeauty or Ipsy Boxy or FabFitFun or any of the other ones that I can't remember off the top of my head. I hope this was helpful. I hope it was at the very least interesting for you to watch, and I hope you'll remember to take extra good care of yourself this week so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.